It's my life. Lazy. It's my life. I got dirty. It's my life.
Welcome back to Collect Them All or Die Trying, the spoiler room, comic cliff notes. And before we get into it, I always want to give a shout out to my man Frank Castle over at coffeeandacomic.com. Go to his website, check it out, because you can get all the David Mack packs or even some of the comics you might see here right on this channel and many more. And go to the descriptions and check out how you can save 10% on your next order. Now let's get into this. Something's Killing the Children, The Angel of Archer's Peak, Part 4. Now, we left off last issue with Erica Slaughter telling James that they need to rack up on some weapons because they're about to go monster hunting. And what's the best place in a small town for you to get some of the crappiest weapons? Yeah, you guessed it, House Depot. Wait a minute. Isn't it? Man, these Mandela effects are killing me. Anyway, we're here in House Depot, which I'm pretty sure is probably in the same shopping mall as Applebee's. But we're here with Henry, and the last time we saw Henry was back in issue 2 when he was in Vinny's bar drinking away his sorrows. And now he's here trying to sell Erica some of the top-of-the-line chainsaws. You know, the ones that all the professionals are trying to get their hands on, the ones with the sensors, so if you lose control of the handle, it'll stop dead before it takes your leg off. But Henry, he's like, you know, I got the crappy rundown models that if you drop them, they won't stop going until they chew through your leg or just about anything. Those beasts got a mind of their own. And Erica's like, yeah, I want that one. I'm loving this issue already. Oh man, and Henry, he's confused as hell. And Erica makes it clear. She's like, yeah, I want that one. The ones that keep ripping through everything and anything. The ones that got a mind of their own. And here comes James down the aisle holding the biggest pair of hedge clippers you ever seen in your life. And he's like, look at this, it's scary, right? And she's like, yup, put it in the cart. And in the cart, you have an axe, hedge clippers, chicken wire, gloves. And Henry's like, you guys got some serious renovating. Henry, you have no idea. And Erica goes on to ask Henry, which one is your wildest one? Something that won't get caught up on something unusual if it gets in the way. Something that'll just rip right through. And cordless. I need cordless. And Henry's like, I guess this'll do the job. She's like, good, put it in the cart. I'm paying cash. Good thing they having a sale on monster killing tools today. Then we jump back to Tommy, who's giving his dad a surprise visit. I guess to see if he's still alive. And just barely, because he's laying on the couch, completely nude, and I'm pretty sure he's drunk as hell. But Tommy looks like he's there for other reasons, because he's suspiciously walking around the house like he's looking for something. And in the process, Tommy's dad asks him a series of questions like, how's your mom? And Tommy brushes it off like, if you really want to know, give her a call. Then he asks Tommy, do they have any news on Sophie? Did they find her body yet? And it's pretty apparent that Tommy's dad also thinks that Sophie's dead. And Tommy, he brushes this off as well. He's like, you know what? I gotta go. It seems like he found what he was looking for and leaves. And as Tommy's walking to the car, his friend Pam confirms my assumption that Tommy was in there looking for something because she asks him if he got it. And Tommy says, yeah. And on Tommy's lap is a brown box. And inside this brown box is a pistol. And back in issue 2, when they was in Vinny's bar, his friends were asking Tommy what he would do if they let Erica go from the sheriff's office. And he said, I'll do what I have to do. And clearly, Tommy means business. And it's about time that he get answers. And it couldn't be any clearer that the events taking place in Archer's Peak have driven families apart and turned people like Tommy to take matters into their own hands. Then we jump over to the sheriff and his brother Tim, who's the town coroner. And they're at the scene of the last murders that took place when he had Erica in custody. And Tim, he can't put 2 and 2 together in this murder scene because he doesn't know whether this is some random animal attack or some serial killer. But there's one thing he knows for sure, that this is some real scary fucked up shit. And all Tim could do is haphazardly put together a vague description of a horrible pervert who's wearing a bear's head, killing children because he hates them. And even before Tim could even say it himself, I was like, this guy is drunk. And sure enough, Tim says he had a few beers on his break. And the sheriff's like, God damn it, Tim, you got one job. But Tim's like, hey, you're the one that forced me to take this job. telling me that it'll be a quiet job, only hunting accidents and old people. And the sheriff couldn't agree more because he's like, yeah, they told me the same thing. And the sheriff, he's just as dumbfounded as Tim because he can't understand what or who can possibly do all this without leaving a single track, a footprint, a fingerprint. And what in the hell can do that to the entryway of the house? Because as you pan down, you see the biggest hole in the entryway of the house, like Steven Seagal ran the truck right through it looking for criminals. Then the sheriff is interrupted by a deputy who says he has a phone call, and the sheriff brushes it off like, look, I don't have time for this. But the deputy insists because she said whoever called my personal phone and asked for you, and he knew things about me, things that he couldn't possibly know. And he mentioned something about a blonde woman. And this is when the sheriff puts 2 and 2 together and knows that this is linked to Erica Slaughter, who told him about getting something of a call like this. And the sheriff, he grabs the phone wanting to know exactly who he's talking to. But the mystery caller, he wants to make it real clear that you don't know me, but I know exactly who you are. Sheriff Joseph Kavanaugh of Archers Peak, Wisconsin. And the mystery caller goes on to tell the sheriff that he's terribly sorry about the troubles his town is going through and that he would like to help the best way he can. And the sheriff once again demands on who he's talking to. And his response is a friend, if that's what you decide you're looking for. And the sheriff, he gets snappy because he tells the mystery caller, you sent Erica here. You're in this with her. And as they focus on the distinguishable tattoo on his hand, the mystery caller says, I'm pretty sure you realize by now Erica Slaughter isn't with anybody. Then we transition back to Erica and James, who are trucking along with their arsenal of monster hunting tools and a blue cart. Classy. And James, he has a question, and Erica just rolls her eyes up like, what do we say about questions? Not really realizing that James is paying a lot of attention to everything Erica has to say. And he responds with what Erica said back in issue number 2, that they're smart to ask when you put it into a life and death scenario. And Erica squinches down her eyes like, fair enough, ask away. And James's question is, what are monsters? And Erica gives him that side-eye look like he just asked about the birds and the bees and where children come from. And her answer is, they're big scary things that eat children. And James is offended because he's hoping there was an answer more bigger than just that. And yeah, I kind of agree because like James, I don't want to be held in the dark anymore. It's time to put all the cards on the table and tell us what's really going on and how is this monster even here. And I strongly believe that this is a pivotal moment in the series of Something's Killing the Children, because now we get a good explanation of how this monster even came to be. And the reason why this monster came after James and his friends is because they can see it, because they believed in it. And this all makes sense to me, because as a child, they have a sense of innocence and a wider range of imagination. And it's easy to make any child believe in something that doesn't exist, like Santa Claus or the Easter Bunny. And as a child, we've always feared and was scared of the monster in the closet or under our bed. And regardless of how much James doesn't believe in monsters, he's the reason why this monster, or E7 as Erica Slaughter classifies it, is even here. And he doesn't even realize that he's the cause and the reason why this monster is manifested. Back in the beginning in issue 1 during the sleepover, James went on to tell a story to his friends about a monster who at the time he didn't realize convincingly made his friends believe that it really happened. And because there was more than 5 children at this sleepover, when James was telling this story, placing this image, placing this fear in all of these individuals made it easier and even stronger for this monster to manifest into reality, making it real. This also shines some light back in issue 2 with Tommy when he came face to face with the monster and didn't see it. Because in Tommy's reality, monsters don't exist. And it would never cross his mind that all the missing and dead children in Archer's Peak is actually caused by a monster. Or it could even be that because Tommy's an adult, his perception of a monster is completely different than that of a child. And James goes on to make a valid point about Erica Slaughter being an adult and still able to see monsters. But Erica goes on to explain to him that there's other things you can do to make you see monsters, which she's not going to get into. And she tells James, trust me, when you get older, you're going to want to forget. And I believe her, because now I can see exactly why Erica Slaughter looks like she never sleeps. Now, Erica goes on to tell James that Sarah Washington went missing a half mile up the road that they're currently on. And the monster that they're looking for likes to make nests. So they head up to the coast to see if they can find a den that this monster is held up in. And this is where James finds out that his help is no longer needed. And he's really upset about this because Erica, she promised that he could help. And James says, believe me, I've already seen horrible. But Erica's quick to say, not like this. But they eventually come to a mutual agreement. And Erica says, when we find this cave, you stay outside. That's the only way you're gonna go. And this is where we get a reminder of John, who's still tailing Erica per the sheriff's orders. But he gets a call from the sheriff who tells him to stand down. But John doesn't want to stand down because he just saw Erica go into the forest with a cart full of knives. And he's desperate to see what the hell she's up to. So he gets out of his car and goes to the trunk to put on his good boots. And this is where he's met with Tommy, who wants to make it real clear on who he is before he knocks him unconscious with the pistol in hand, telling him that he had his chance to keep her locked up and didn't. So what happens next falls on you. Then we transition back over to James and Erica, who are at the suspected cave of the monster with the foulest of smells. And with wide eyes, Erica goes no as she pulls out Octo from the bag to question him that he knew this was going to happen and proceeds to call him a little piece of shit. And at this point, James is scared. And Erica gives him the rest of the remaining bags and tell him to hide behind the ridge and not to come out no matter what he hears. And Erica equips herself with a vampire-esque mask, the cordless chainsaw with a mind of its own, a machete and a glow stick, and enters the cave. And as Erica's walking into the cave, she finds where that foul smell is coming from because she walks into a pile of chopped up bodies. And behind her is Tommy, who's pointing the gun at her saying, I knew it. I knew you killed all these people, and now you're gonna pay. And Erica looks at Tommy and tells him that he needs to get down, and he needs to get down now. And Tommy says, not a chance, not realizing the biggest monster we've seen in the series yet is standing directly behind him. And man, I must tell you, this guy is about to get it. Because if we seen what this thing could do to kids, I could imagine what he's going to do to Tommy right now. And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. That wraps up issue 4 for Something's Killing the Children, The Angel of Archer's Peak. And I hope you liked it as much as I did. And if you like the content I'm doing, hit the like button. And if you like the series, subscribe because I got more coming your way. And I see you in the comments. Peace.
It's my life.